Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. I'm really excited for this review today because it's a collaboration between two of probably my top three favorite wild ale producers in North Carolina. I'm sure you can see from the label, this is Zillicoah, but it's a collaboration with Brewery Bhavana out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And this is actually so I would say both of them are most known for their wild ales, it is a wild ale, but it's a Farmhouse IPA. I've had hoppy beers from both of them, and they're very good, but that's what they're lesser known for. But it's a farmhouse one, so more in their wheelhouse. Says there's I'll just show you right there. It's called Like Minds Farmhouse IPA. It says soft hoppy complex. The grist is barley, oats, and rye. Hops are Motuer. I thought it was Motueka at first, but it says Moter and Mosaic. I've never heard of Moter. Open fermented mixed culture, fodder aged, triple dry hopped, 100% re-fermented in the bottle. And it is 7.0 ABV. So really, really excited to try this collaboration between these two breweries because I'm a big fan of both of them. So I can't wait to see what this beer is like. I'm guessing it's probably going to be more funk than hops, but we'll see. I don't know if you can pick up that hiss on the audio, but it's very, very carbonated, nice loud hiss. So as you can see, it pours a slightly cloudy, nice golden color with about a finger and a half worth of uneven, like rocky white head, which is pretty reminiscent of Brettanomyces. Oh, that smells good. It's definitely that classic like Brett meets hops aroma. A lot of over-ripened pineapple, which you get from hops or from juicy hops, but also that is something that comes with Brett. Definitely some of that like wet horse blanket funk. Very, very just tropical nose. Like I'm getting some like papaya and passion fruit notes, but it's like if those things were sitting out all day in the sun and started like molding and rotting almost, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it smells awesome. Man, that's delicious. So I would say every wild beer that I've had from Brewery Bhavana has been like actually sour. Usually, I'm assuming with either lacto or PDO. I haven't had a beer from them that was just Brett, and I think that's the case with this. I'm not getting any. There's really no like acidity. It's very, very dry. So I'm thinking that's the whole thing. Like the mixed culture thing. You never know what they mean by that because they'll say mixed culture for other beers that they make that are actually like tart and acidic, and this is not that. This is actually the reverse of that. This is incredibly dry. I would say, I think so. This was bottled like 6 weeks ago, or maybe not bottled, but this was released like 6 weeks ago. But usually Brett actually makes hops last longer because it eats up all the oxygen in the bottle. So that's why I'm kind of perplexed of why this is like not very hoppy at all. I think it's tasty as hell, but it's definitely not like, I wouldn't call this a farmhouse IPA. I would just say it's like a mix, a funky Brett beer. I mean, there's definitely some notes of the hops. It really is very tropical. A lot of like papaya and passion fruit, like I was saying, but it's it has like zero bitterness at all. I mean, to me, it reminds me of just like a dry hop Brett beer more than an IPA that was open fermented, if that makes any sense. Like I don't think they brewed like some big juicy IPA first and then did it. I think they made like a mixed culture beer and then just threw more hops than usual in it. If that delineation really makes sense. I guess they could be one and the same. But I would say what this really reminds me of is Bitter Monk from Anchorage. It's not quite as hop forward, but it does remind me of that because it's a really nice hoppy beer with really really funky wild Brett character. And it almost has the biggest reason it reminds me of that is because that combination of hops and Brett, for some reason, comes off as like perfumey to me, almost like potpourri. And I get the same thing out of that Bitter Monk, and I love that beer. And that was the other thing. I was kind of surprised that this was 7%. I was hoping it was less, but excuse me. I mean, it drinks very, very light. I would never guess that this is that strong. Honestly, I would guess somewhere between 4.5 to 5.5. I mean, this is incredibly drinkable. I honestly had no idea what to expect from this. It could have ranged from basically an IPA with a little bit of funk to like a straight up, almost like sour saison type thing. I mean, with a collaboration between these two guys, but it really fell in the middle of that, and it's a really nice bouquet of hops and funk. But I would say it's more Brett driven than it is hop driven, which I'm perfectly okay with that. But I think if people see IPA on this label and they don't realize what these, especially Zillicoah, not as much Bhavana, but if they don't realize what Zillicoah's deal is, what they do with a lot of these type of beers, they're probably not going to like it. I would say the Citrine Dream that they released for their first anniversary, this is pretty similar to that, but I think that one was probably a little more juicy. This one's probably a little more dry and Brett forward. Another comparison that I would make would be to Orval. And I know some people might think that's blasphemy. I think Orval is probably the most overrated beer on the planet by beer nerds. Maybe it's just I've never had a fresh enough bottle. I do think it's a very good beer, but I don't understand the people that are like, oh, this is the best beer that's ever made. I just don't get that. But I've always heard that when it's fresh, it's actually hoppy. But I've never ever gotten that. And this kind of reminds me of that, of what I would expect if I had one that was hoppy, because it does have a lot of those Brett characteristics that Orval has. But it's not like hoppy like I would consider just like a wild IPA. So this makes me think of what like a true hoppy version of Orval would taste like, uh, which is if it tasted like this, would I say it's the best beer in the world? No, absolutely not. But I still think this is delicious. Um, it's an interesting take between these two breweries. But if they're gonna, I would like to see them do another collaboration and do like an actual sour beer or a like a mixed culture saison that actually has some acidity, because I think between those two they could really do something special, because I love both of these breweries. Um, yeah, it's even like it's. I said it comes off as like potpourri like, and some of that is just like the floral. It's really floral, um, but then you get that floral character at the beginning, and then that Brett just fucking comes and takes all of that floral and juiciness and just sweeps it all under the rug. It just finishes like this with this amazing dryness. Just a fantastic beer. Uh, and I don't know what else to say about Zillicoah, to be honest. They're just an amazing brewery. They came out of nowhere. I got a recommendation from a friend, said you need to check these guys out. I said sure, and I expected it to be good based on their recommendation, but they're just lights out. I mean, they're honestly quickly becoming one of my top 5 favorite breweries, period. Their stuff is just amazing. Uh, and I only bought one bottle of this. I didn't buy one to share with people in Pittsburgh because I assumed the hops would fall off, but there's honestly not that much. There's not that much hops to begin with in this. So if they still have some bottles left at Salute, I'm gonna buy another bottle to share with, because I think it's just gonna develop over time with the Brettanomyces, and the hops that are in there will probably hang on just because of the Brett anyway. So I think it'd be worth sharing. But I think that's all I got on this one. Another great beer from Zillicoah. I'm really glad that I was able to get a bottle of it, and I can't wait to finish the rest of this. It's absolutely delicious. I think that's all I got on it. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.